Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Nick, and today I'm going to be diving into the new film Army of the Dead, a 2021 Netflix film directed by Zack Snyder and stars Dave Bautista and a shit ton of other actors. So I watched Army of the Dead last night, and I jotted down a few notes, and I figured I'd get a quick little review out there for you guys. It's going to be a little more impromptu. I don't want to get into too many spoilers or anything, so it's going to be fairly spoiler free for the most part. If it is completely spoiler free, I will put it in the title so you guys will know that before you click on this. And without further ado, let's get right into this. Oh, and there's the poster for you if you want to see it. So this is the second 2021 release by Zack Snyder, the first being Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, that is. And it's also his second zombie movie ever, with the first being Dawn of the Dead, his directorial debut. So he went back to where he started in this. So guys, the basic plot for this film is about Las Vegas being completely sealed off. It's overrun by zombies. It's an infection zone. No one goes in or they don't make it back out, basically. And we get someone who hires Dave Bautista, whose name is Scott in this film. He wants him to go in and retrieve his valuables that he has in a safe that is deep within the city of Las Vegas. It has tons of money in there, and he offers Scott $50 million if he can get in and get out with his valuables. Now, right there, this is a very interesting plot for a heist movie, you know. No one ever really done the heist with zombies before, which is a pretty cool concept, I might add. And to be in Las Vegas, I mean, right there, the setting is just so cool. And personally, I love when horror mixes like mercenaries or soldiers. It just always works for me. I think that's why I love Resident Evil so much, even though it's nothing like the games. We do get the soldiers in that going in. Hatchet 3, Aliens. There's so many films like this that, I don't know, I just really like horror mixed with soldiers. We do get an origin story of why this is happening or why the zombie outbreak started, which I love. There's so many zombie movies out there that don't really give any explanation. It's just like they're in the apocalypse and that's just it. We never find out why. But this film, right away, right off the bat, in the opening, we get to see why this outbreak occurred. And I really appreciated that. Now, our main lead, Scott, the situation he's in right now, he's working at a restaurant, which is ironic because he went in when Las Vegas was first overrun by zombies. He went in and he saved as many people as he can out of there. A true hero. And they weren't really awarded anything, never got any credit for it or nothing. And so he's basically working at a restaurant after this, which is very reminiscent of the soldiers like that went to Vietnam and that came back and no one even cared about them or what they did over there. And so a lot of them end up with psychological problems or ended up working these rundown jobs, like these lower jobs, not very good pays, after serving their country, which is such a sad thing. And we find out Scott we find a little bit about his background in the first of the film. We found out he had a wife who unfortunately turned into a zombie and he had to kill her while his daughter watched. And it makes for a real emotional part of the film, which I didn't expect. And it goes in pretty deep with him and his daughter throughout the film after. Like, of course, he feels bad for killing her mother, and so it causes tension, but there's a lot more to it than that. They do a really good job dealing with their tragedy with their family. The rest of the cast is pretty great too. I was surprised because it takes about 45 minutes of the movie to get going before we actually get in Las Vegas to do their mission. So with this big cast, I figured a lot of them were going to be fairly fleshed out, or we're going to find out where they're coming from. But not really. The first 45 minutes is more about Scott. We do see him recruiting all of his members of his crew, but we don't know too much about really any of them aside from him and his daughter. Like I said, considering the runtime and being a zombie movie, almost 2 hours and a half, I figured a lot more characters would be a little bit more fleshed out, but it's not really the case. But all in all, it's not the worst thing. It's not really the type of movie that needs fleshed out characters or arcs or anything. And I guess it does add to the mystery, because with this big a group of people and this many like whack jobs and gun happy soldiers, you're bound to get a few crazies and wacky characters and a few mysterious characters that you're not sure if they have other intentions, right? So I guess that kind of works for it. And we do get a pretty large variation of characters, which I liked. My favorite was probably the pilot, Marianne, played by Tig Notaro. She's always great. She has this really dry sense of humor in everything she's in, and this is no different. I feel like other characters try to incorporate humor in here, and it doesn't always land, but hers I find always does, and she was a great character. We get a lot of familiar faces in here, guys. I don't know a lot of their names, but another one was the guy who played Martin is Garrett Dillahunt. He's known from Raising Hope. He was the father. He's also in Fear the Walking Dead right now. So, like the cowboy looking guy. So we do get a lot of familiar faces in this cast, and it's a big one. Now let's get into the zombies, guys. What we all came here to see. In this film, we do get our regular type zombies, but it mostly focuses on this advanced race of zombies. They're like more evolved. Like these guys are strong, they're calculated, they're smart. They're one step above the regular zombie in every category. And it was really nice to see these different types of zombies because, you know, we've seen the regular zombie so many times and there's only so much you can do with it. And one thing I thought really cool was with one of the advanced zombies, like one of the leaders, he wore a helmet a lot of the movie, which was really genius because there's no way of getting a headshot on him, right? It's like one of those metal full face helmets. So I'm like, wow, that was really clever. Like, funny they never thought of that on other films. Well, they might have, but I just never seen it before. And I thought it was really unique. We also get the tiger zombie, which we've seen on the trailers. It's, I don't know, I'm kind of mixed on this. The idea is so cool to have like a zombie tiger or any other animal as a zombie, but it's just the CGI ruins it for me. I know it's hard to do the tiger practical, but it looks so fake. Although it does get a really cool graphic scene in the film, like a really cool scene in the movie where there's blood and gore, and you're gonna love it. But just to look at the tiger itself, it's like so cartoonish to me. But the practical effects on the actual zombies are great. They're mostly real people playing these zombies. They're not. It's not like World War Z or those other movies where the zombies are CGI as well. And I am glad they went that route with the practical zombies. And the effects, for the most part, too, are practical. Obviously, when someone's blowing up, it's CGI for the most part. But people getting cut open and that, and like skin ripped off and that, it actually looks fairly practical for the most part. So they did really good on the effects, which gives this film a good balance. Like a lot of these action horror films focus way too much on the action and pretty much forget about the horror. But this one seems to balance out horror, action, and drama fairly well. It's pretty even across the board in the three areas. And since this is a Zack Snyder film, his style is written all over it. We get the slow-mo action scenes. We get the really cool intro title with the credits and that. It's just so stylistic. If you've seen the Sucker Punch or 300, any of his other movies, you know the type of style he has, and it's no different in this film. Along with the soundtrack as well. As you all know, Dawn of the Dead had Richard Cheese doing a cover of Down with the Sickness in like a lounge act style. He brings him back in this film for Viva Las Vegas, and it's awesome. I'm like, right away, Richard Cheese, right on. I love me some Richard Cheese. And the rest of the soundtrack is great too. You get Zombie by the Cranberries, a really cool version of Bad Moon Rising, and it's just a great soundtrack overall. Now, I know a lot of people like their zombie movies with social commentary, like a bigger meaning behind all of this. I know Robbie Sobel is one of them. He loves those social commentary movies. And this movie has a lot of that in it as well, just like the Romero films. Like, obviously, this is set in Vegas, a place where people go to gamble, and what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. A lot of crazy shit happens down there, and that all kind of plays into the plot here. All these people are going there to do this heist to make cash. They're only thinking about themselves. They're very greedy. And I think greed is one of the main morals of the story here. Like, they're essentially gambling their life, like going to Vegas to do that. And even like when Batista's putting his crew together, Scott, he every person he goes through, he offers them less money. And it's just like, because they're getting greedy, he's like, well, I'll keep that part of the cut and I'll only give them so much. And it goes like that all the way through till the last guy ends up with $20,000 when they started with $50 million. Again, greed, greed, greed. And so many characters in this film either die or screw up a situation for everybody because of their own greed. It just happens so much. And now there's social commentary in this film. You could talk about like the politics, like at the first on the news, how they're getting ready to nuke Las Vegas, and a lot of people are against it and for it. And, you know, a lot of political party stuff in there. We got people on TV saying that the zombies is just a hoax and stuff. Well, it's all relevant to today's society with whether you're talking about politics or just COVID-19 in general with infections and that, because they have like quarantine centers in this film. So there's a lot of things you can talk about with today's society in this film. Now, guys, here's the big one, the runtime. I know a lot of people are complaining that it's a 2.5 hour long zombie flick. For me, I'm kind of mixed on it. The first 45 minutes takes a long time to get. That's how long it takes to get to Las Vegas, like for the mission to start, essentially. And so we're just getting the crew together and that. So that's why I figured a lot more characters would be more fleshed out at this point. But they pretty much just focus on Scott. And there's a lot of melodrama there. I know Zack Snyder has a thing with melodrama as well in his films. Doesn't necessarily get into the way, but when you hit that 50-minute mark and the action hits and you start getting these bloody zombie tense scenes, and that pretty much right until the end of the film, you really notice it pick up at that 45-minute mark. You're like, okay, now the movie's getting interesting. Not to say that the first half's bad or the first 40 minutes or so. It's just a lot of setting up. So by the end of our film, we do get a complete like story arc with our main character Scott and his daughter. You know, lessons are learned and different things come back around from the first, and it's all played out very nicely. And the way the movie ends, it also leaves it open for maybe future sequels if anybody wanted to jump onto this, or if Snyder wanted to continue this franchise. The only real problem I had with this movie is that when I was done watching it, the movie pretty much checked off every box for me in the right categories. Like, it had the blood and the gore. It had the zombies the way I liked them. It had a great cast. It was a fun action horror flick, you know, set in Las Vegas. Great setting. So I'm sitting back and I'm like, then why do I feel empty after watching this? Although we had this really large cast and this longer runtime and all that, I felt like I was missing something when the movie was done. It's as if like it wasn't as epic as it could have been. Like this should have been one of the best zombie movies ever made, but yet it just left me feeling like I was missing something. It's like as if you order a meal that you really want to eat at a restaurant you really like, and they give you the meal, but it's a little overcooked, where it's not exactly how you wanted it to turn out to be, but it was still very good and you still ate it. But it's just like, it was lacking something, and I just can't really pinpoint what. Like, it was still very enjoyable and everything, but yeah, there's just something missing, or it just didn't reach the legendary status that I think it's set out to. So that being said, I just want to say, guys, it didn't really bother me, the 2 hour and 30-minute runtime, because I know that's the biggest issue with most people. But I would be lying if I didn't say that certain scenes felt like they were kind of dragging on, or not so much dragging on. There was just a few scenes where I found myself not as engaged as I should have been. Like, I was kind of coming out in and out of the film. Like, it wasn't keeping my attention at certain scenes, and I just don't know why. It's like as if it was taking them too long to do their mission, like to go through everything. Like, every scene they were staying there for just a little too long, maybe. It could be that, but for some reason I just wasn't fully engaged throughout the whole runtime. There was times where I was right into it, and then 15 minutes later I was kind of falling back out of it, and it would take another 20 minutes or so to get me right engaged again. And I was kind of coming in and out throughout the whole film, so that was probably my biggest negative, guys. So all in all, if I had to slap a rating on this bad boy, I would have to give it a 7 out of 10. It is a really good zombie flick, especially nowadays where there's so many of these zombie flicks that are not very good. there's a lot more quantity than there is quality. This one's definitely more on the quality side, but I think it still could have been better. There may have been just a little too many melodramatic scenes for me inserted in here when this could have been just a really fun roller coaster ride all the way throughout. I mean, the movie delivers everything it promises in its plot description and its trailer. It gave me everything I wanted, I guess. It's just, I guess it could have been done just a bit better. And if I had to choose, I would definitely choose Dawn of the Dead remake over this one. That is my preferable zombie movie if we're talking about Zack Snyder. So there you have it, guys. That was a little more impromptu than usual, but I just wanted to get my thoughts and my rating out here on this film. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to continue following me on this journey through all these movie reviews and music reactions. Don't forget, we got Friday 13th starting on May 28th all the way to August 13th, which is going to be a hell of a ride. And I hope to see you guys there. And that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for watching.